Doki Doki Literature Club is kind of a very special game for me. Like, other than just being a super good game that's just super well made and extremely well written and a really cool twist on the genre and all that, it kind of came to me at a very interesting time in my life. To give a little bit of backstory, I initially discovered the game around when it launched. I had heard about it online and everything, and people talking about how it was this visual novel but had a twist that it actually was a horror game. And I throw an annual Halloween party every year. So I remember on that party, I played it with all my friends, and we voiced the different characters and stuff and gave them the stupidest sounding voices, like Donovan's Bane voice he did for Sayori and everything. And we never even got to the horror part during the party, but it was just stupid and funny the whole time, and it was pretty good. Fast forward a little bit, and my first girlfriend broke up with me, and I was not doing super hot at all. Like, I pretty much kind of cut off from everything, and most I did was pretty much just stay inside and play games with my friends. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, the main thing I probably did was just sit in our Discord chat and listen to them talk while I played Assassin's Creed Origins, which honestly was like a humongous time sink for me while I was sad. But then I went and rediscovered Doki Doki. I was like, oh yeah, we never really finished this. And I mean, even just from the little bit we played at the party, I was pretty invested in the characters, and I wanted to see what the horror parts were actually like and everything. So I re-picked it back up. I mean, I wasn't doing anything. It was the weekend, and I started playing it again. To give some info for people that don't know what Doki Doki Literature Club is, it's essentially a visual novel in which you, the main character, go and try to get ladies. I mean, essentially you join a literature club because there's 4 pretty girls in it, and your whole goal is to try to win the heart of one of them. And you can do this by some different choices and stuff, but also, like, mainly each character is very much filling a stereotype, and every night you write a poem and you try to pick words that would impress the person you're going for. So, like, for instance, Natsuki is very cutesy, and her writing in her poems is very cutesy, so when it comes time for you to write poems, you want to pick all the cutesy words if you want to go for her and impress her. I decided, after like meeting all the characters, I was like, okay, who am I going for? I really like Sayori. Yep. I mainly did that because I really liked that she was outgoing and that she really liked to make other people happy. I just like really valued that, and I was like, yeah, she's cute, I'll go for her. So her whole word thing was that you will need to pick bittersweet things for her. And so essentially every single night you go and you make new poems and you continue to learn more about each of the girls. And the kind of really cool thing about it is that it is actually written really, really well. Like, you get super attached to the characters, and you start to learn that they have a lot more depth to them than you might have initially thought. Like, they all have their own issues and things that you can dig into and figure out about them, including Sayori. Something I actually really respect the game for doing is that it waits a long time before getting into the horror elements. You will be playing just a straight up well-written visual novel for a couple hours before you ever get to the actual scary part of the game. Before I continue on, I would recommend that you just go and play this game if you haven't yet, because I'm about to spoil the story in order to continue this, and it's really good. It's free, it's on Steam, and probably other places, and it's worth your time. It's a really good game, and it has a really well written plot, and it's completely free. Just go play it. Essentially, like, as the plot goes on, you're getting closer and closer to this like festival where you're trying to promote the literature club and get more members and stuff, and all the while Sayori is getting stranger and stranger, and she starts seeming sadder and saying weird things, and you slowly learn that she actually has depression. And it honestly makes like 100% sense with her character, and she has this weird conflict going on where what makes her happy is making other people happy. Like, she values other people more than herself, but simultaneously she also is in love with the main character, and there's other girls in the club that are in love with the main character, so she doesn't want to be selfish and take you away from them because you make them happy, but she simultaneously wants to be with you herself. So she has two different things she wants, and she can't have both, and either decision she makes is gonna rip her heart out in one direction. And it's super deep, but it starts getting really freaky. And like, I remember I was playing it and it was probably like 4 a.m. at this point, and I was just so invested and I had to figure out what's gonna happen next. And Sayori eventually says that she loves you, and you can say whether or not you love her back or if you just see her as a friend, which is gonna be probably dependent on whether or not you're going for her. So for me, I was like, I love you, and I hugged her, and it was great, and I was so happy, and I was like, we're going to get through this. I was like, and I honestly saw a lot of myself in Sayori to a certain extent. Like, I felt like I could relate to her a lot, which made it a little more impactful, but I could also relate to the main character in this situation, trying to talk people down and things like that. And so like I was very invested in this whole thing, and then the scene happens. Alright, so I want to put you in my shoes really quick. So it's 4 a.m. and you've already stayed up way later than you probably should have. You're really tired. I mean, these are rookie numbers by today's standards. Looks at me going at 7 a.m. Anyway, but I'm like super tired. I'm just really invested. So I was like, I'm just gonna get past this part and then I'm gonna go to bed. And then that happens. And then you just get sent back to the title screen and you think the game just ended, and that was it. And good night, sweet dreams. Nope, don't let the bed bugs bite. Like, I was like pretty devastated. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go to bed now. And I like crawled in bed and I went to sleep. And like the next morning I got up and I ended up like actually looking up because I was like, is that really like how they ended it? Like it, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, so you continue on and everything. And then I figured out, doing a bit more research, that there's a special good ending that requires a lot more work. Also, Monica really do be a bitch though, am I right? Essentially, there's like a regular ending that the game has where if you, after that scene happens, you just continue through the game. You have the game continue to bug out more. You find out that it's Monica, that she basically realizes she's in a game and starts messing with the code because she loves you. And no matter what she does, the game kind of is designed to not have you be with her, so she keeps trying to change things so that it will be, and ends up screwing everything up. And some really screwed up stuff happens throughout the game. And it ends with you essentially deleting Monica. Like, there's this really cool thing where you have to actually go into the game files and delete Monica from the characters folder. And it essentially explains that like Monica's been changing the files, and there's actually just periodic times you can check to see that things have changed. It's really cool. And upon doing this, she realizes her mistake and tries to recreate the game with all the characters again, but this time without her, so that you guys can be happy. Upon doing this in the normal ending, essentially Sayori becomes the new president, and by being president, she basically becomes self-aware the same way that Monica did, which ends up making Sayori go insane and start doing screwed up stuff, to which Monica just basically deletes everything and says, nope, the game can't exist. There are no happy endings, and basically deletes everything and you can't play the game anymore, and that's the end. It ends on quite a sad note, and I mean, it's still a cool experience, but it definitely isn't the happiest one. So I didn't experience this because as soon as I did my research and found out there was a good ending, I was like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to get that. So essentially, to get the good ending, First off, you actually have to reset the files of your game. Like, it has to be a completely new save that hasn't gotten to the Sayori part that we're just gonna skip over. And then essentially, right when you get to the first poem, you need to save the game and play through each of the girls' routes. So, for instance, I've started with Sayori, so you make all your poems based on Sayori, get to see all of her scenes, because basically each girl has a couple major scenes that happen that have their completely separate art from the rest of the game, and you need to see all of it to get the good ending. But as soon as you hit the Sayori scene, it deletes the saves, and so you can't go back and see the other girls' routes all in one playthrough. So essentially what you need to do is save at the first poem, go through a girl's route, stop before the Sayori scene happens, go back and load your save, then go down another girl's route. And you do this till you've gone through all 3 of the girls' routes. Then you go through the Sayori scene, and you start another game, and the glitched, crazy, scary stuff happens and all that. But this time, once you delete Monica, and she recreates the game with only the 3 girls, Sayori's tone is very different. While she still has this new understanding that she's in a video game and everything, the fact that you went and tried to make everybody happy by seeing all of their scenes and going down all their paths and making them all feel loved changes her perspective on things. And she is very happy, and she gives a heartfelt speech to you, and then the game ends, and there's extra details like the credits aren't scary, they're just normal and happy. And even after the credits, there's a note from the developer, which is really heartfelt and really nice. And it's a really happy ending. And I mean, so what does this have to do with helping me with depression? Well, I was really sad. And so like, you have to put a ton of time into the game to get the good ending, because while you would normally only go down one girl's route and then get through the scary section and that's the end of the game, you now are basically doing 3 playthroughs and the scary section, and that's a lot more hours. It took me a while to get through it. I pretty much spent the next day getting through all of the girls' different routes and reading a ton, and but at the end of it, there was a good ending, and I think it helped me in a weird way. Like, it's not conventional, and I would not necessarily recommend that people with depression play this game, because I really don't think it's weird that it helped me. I don't really completely understand it myself, because for the majority of people, this is not what I would recommend them to do if they're depressed. But it's more, I guess, the perspective that I had on it that helped me, which was that the game is a horror game, and I knew that going in, that it probably wasn't going to end well, or that some screwed up stuff was going to happen. And even the initial ending of the game is sad as crap, and just like, kinda, you feel empty afterwards. But through determination and time, you can get a good ending. And you have to put the effort into basically 100% the game and see every aspect of it. But in the end, you get the good ending for doing it. And it was kind of just my determination to have it end happy that got me through playing every single part and spending my whole day doing that. And I was rewarded for it. And I guess how that helps me with depression was it kind of gave me perspective. It said, hey, things are hard right now, and it's going to continue to be hard for a while, maybe. Like, it might take some time and require a lot of work from you to carry forward and push on and to make yourself better every day. But in the end, there is good waiting on the other side. Because I think the main thing that hits you with depression is that you feel like all the good is gone. Like there's nothing left, and that all there is sad now. and you feel kind of helpless. But ultimately, that's not true. And it's gonna be hard to tell yourself that every day, to get motivation to do things that are gonna help you. But ultimately, if you put the effort in, and you just keep going, and you put in the time, there is that rainbow at the end of the storm. And I guess, in a weird way, the determination that I had to get these characters a happy ending also gave me the determination to keep going and being the best person I can be, and giving myself motivation every day to get through what I was going through. And the reason I'm talking about this now is because actually, strangely, I'm kind of going through another really hard time in my life right now. And at that same time, a streamer I watch, this boy right here, played it for the very first time blind, which was super enjoyable to watch as someone who knew everything that was going to happen, especially because apparently he didn't know that it had a horror game twist, so he's just playing this visual novel and suddenly Sayori.
Outside Sayuri's room, I knock on her door. Sayuri? Wake up, dummy. There's no response. I really didn't want to have to enter a room like this. Isn't that the kind of a breach of privacy? But she really leaves me no choice. I gently open the door. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh! No fucking... Holy shit! Bro, are you fucking serious?
But yeah, like, I was going through a hard time right now, and I'm having a lot to process and go through, and I'm trying my best, and the game came back to me in a strange way and reminded me of how it inspired me before. And it was kind of just an interesting little thing that the universe did. Or maybe just pure luck, but it was just kind of inspired me to make this video. Because I guess, in a way, I wanted to talk about how this amazing game had a strange impact on me that was probably unusual, while simultaneously maybe inspiring others to keep going. To just remember to keep going, to keep pushing, because happy endings do exist, even if they're not necessarily the fairy tale ones, where you're happily ever after forever now. It will get good again, and it will be worth it, and you'll be very happy that you put in the time and effort to get there. Because even if things suck really bad right now, they won't forever, I promise. And you'll get to that part, and you'll be very happy you were there for it. Happy endings do exist, even if sometimes a bad thing happens afterwards. It'll always go back to being happy. Bye, guys.